911. What's your emergency?
Hey, I'm a bus driver and one of my students just passed me a note that says his mother needs help and that his dad is hurting her.
Okay, do you have an address?
Yeah, they live on, it's the first house when you turn into the neighborhood.
Okay, officers are being dispatched now. Can you stay with the child until law enforcement arrives?
Yeah, so I'm just parked outside the neighborhood. I'll stay here.
Evil can't hide forever. That 911 call you just heard, it tipped off the Las Cruces police to an evil husband's house of horrors. Our genius villain thought he was slick and could outsmart the law, but spoiler alert, he couldn't. Let us uncover how the police turned this house of horror into a scene straight out of a bad crime novel and outsmarted this wannabe. Before we dive into today's video, remember to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming content. On April 23, 2021, the Las Cruces Police Department received a distressing 911 call, which had been made the night before when Veronica had endured a literal 12-hour marathon of abuse. All thanks to her charming, ever-so-classy boyfriend, Eric Alvarado. The man clearly took bad boyfriend to an Olympic level. Fearing for her and her children's safety, Veronica's first impulse was to reach out to the police. But Eric, ever the control freak, had seized her phone and kept her under his constant surveillance. It's like he thought he was auditioning for some twisted reality show called Keep Up with the Abuse. As if that wasn't enough, their son still needed to go to school, providing Veronica with a golden opportunity. In an act of sheer brilliance, Veronica devised a plan to get help without Eric catching on. She was about to pull off a maneuver that would make Houdini proud, using her son's school trip as the perfect escape route.
Can you explain to me what's going on today?
Last night he was shaking me a lot.
He was shaking you?
And so with the pillows.
Okay.
He picked me up. He got my head against the cabinet, and then he slept on top of here. And then my kids were screaming and crying. And he said that he was either I die or he's gonna have a stroke.
In the footage, Veronica looked like a deer caught in the headlights, terrified and relieved to see the cavalry arrive. Her note, scribbled behind Eric's back with the urgency of a message in a bottle, read, "Help, call 911." She passed this tiny SOS to her son, hoping that someone at school would actually care enough to make a call. The note made its way to the bus driver, who, probably realizing it was a matter of life and death rather than just a forgotten lunchbox, immediately contacted the Las Cruces Police Department. Veronica had given them a heads up that Eric was likely to engage in a full-blown shootout if the cops showed up, which was Eric's way of saying, "I'm a dangerous, delusional drama queen." The officers needed to be prepared for this potential showdown with the human embodiment of a bad action movie.
Were you trying to get away from him, or what happened?
I just started doing whatever he asked me. He would even tell me to follow him to the bathroom when he needed the bathroom. He would make me pick up the seat for him.
Okay.
He said, "Are you gonna let me?" And then I was just like, "Well, neither." And then but I was crying for my mom. He said, "You really think I would do that?"
You didn't try to get out, and he didn't forcefully try to keep you
I
from
was
leaving or
like,
anything like
I've tried before, and it never works. So I just stayed quietly, and I stayed up on the bed. I rolled like to try to get away, and he would just pull me closer and hug me.
that? Okay.
But I didn't have a phone to call you guys, so I just
What happened to your phone?
He has it, but he always takes it because he knows that I'm gonna call the cops.
Okay, so the marks on your face, is that from him, or? And not from him. Okay.
And then
Veronica's remarks were a masterclass in resignation. Her comments like, "I've tried this before and it never works," were the verbal equivalent of throwing in the towel after countless attempts to escape her own personal horror show. This is known as learned helplessness, a charming psychological state where repeated abuse makes someone believe they're stuck in a never-ending nightmare. It's more common than one might think, with the average victim needing 7 attempts to leave their abuser before succeeding. Each failed attempt chips away at their sense of control, like a cruel game of emotional whack-a-mole. Given that Veronica had a 5-year-old son with Eric, it's likely she'd been trapped in this nightmarish circus for 5 years. Hats off to her son for finally pulling off the great escape and giving his mom a fighting chance. If there's a silver lining here, it's that their ordeal might just be the stuff of heroic family legends, minus the abusive villain, of course.
Can you explain to me what happened first yesterday?
We were arguing. He was just more frustrated because he was yelling at the kids, and then he started to get upset with me. He got upset because I didn't cook. He grabbed himself something to eat, and he told me to cook garbage and give it to him, but it's because I had the baby in the bed and laid it down. She was getting upset every time I walked out.
Okay.
And then so I came in here all mad talking shit, and I was right there by the microwave, and I slammed it to close it because he had his food in there. I was gonna heat it up, and he told me to shut up, and then he got up and pulled me from my hair and pushed my head toward the cabinet in my head, like went like that, and that's why it's swollen right here. Went like that, and my eyebrow hit right.
Veronica continued to recount the night's horrors in painstaking details. Eric, in his grand display of toxic masculinity, had choked her, tossed her around like a rag doll, and grabbed her so forcefully that her attempts to pry his hands away were futile. It's like he was auditioning for a role as the worst boyfriend in the universe, and nailing it. The man was a real piece of work, if by work you mean a colossal self-centered jerk. It's a wonder she managed to keep her wits about her long enough to plot her escape, especially considering she had to do it while dodging his Neanderthal advances.
Yeah, I was holding onto his arm, but he lifted me up because he's so strong. He lifted me up and he slammed me on the counter. My kids were crying at the same time as my oldest son came out.
What did you feel when he grabbed your neck?
I don't know, like I was like trying to fight to get it off, and then all of a sudden, like my body just started feeling weak.
Feeling weak?
Yeah, and I felt like I was underwater and I couldn't breathe. And I was just like trying to calm him down, like, oh baby, I love you, please stop, this is not. But I was just like, because I already know how he is.
Even after being choked nearly to death, Veronica was still pleading with Eric, telling him she loved him. Not out of genuine affection, mind you, but as a last-ditch effort to stop him from turning her into a Lifetime movie statistic. Eric had likely employed every dirty trick in the abuser's handbook, including love bombing and intermittent reinforcement, to manipulate her. Love bombing is when an abuser showers the victim with excessive affection to form an attachment quickly. Think of it as emotional spam. Intermittent reinforcement is when they alternate between kindness and cruelty, creating a twisted emotional bond and dependency. Eric was clearly a master manipulator, blending cruelty and faux affection like some deranged cocktail mixologist.
Talking about, are you scared or die? And I'm like, yes. He's like, how does it feel? Because you almost died. And I was just like, if it just hurts, it's painful. He's like, why are you scared to die? Like, and then I said, because my kids.
The next piece of information would highlight why Eric behaves like that.
From PTSD, depression.
And he hasn't took his medication either.
Bipolar depression and...
Yes, it takes so much help. He has anxiety, bipolar.
Yeah. So the only thing that set him off was the whole him not having food ready and all that?
No, it was the kids who was yelling at my son.
Okay.
And that, if anything...
So apparently, Eric suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, or what we call PTSD, depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder. He's supposed to take a cocktail of meds to stay stable, basically a pharmacy on legs. But guess what? That night he decided to skip his meds, probably thinking his charming personality would suffice. Of course, this doesn't excuse his behavior. Let's not paint all bipolar individuals with the same broad, tarred brush. However, it does provide a lens to understand the severity and persistence of his abusive actions. Eric's mental health issues were the perfect storm for his already delightful personality, creating a tsunami of abuse that Veronica had to navigate.
How long have you been with him?
On and off, he said names. There's a time when he sent me to the hospital, but I didn't press charge.
So you never...
I felt bad because he always calls and he's just like, I'm sorry, this is so bad.
So
I'm a sick man.
Has he ever been charged with domestic or anything like that? He has? In Las Cruces or New Mexico?
With his ex-girlfriend.
Okay, but not with you?
Yeah. A lot of times I drop the charges because I feel bad.
Eric, the embodiment of why can't you just get it together, clearly needed to be locked up. But that was contingent on whether Veronica would press charges or let herself be hoodwinked again. Just as they were discussing the next steps, another cop showed up with the kind of news that would make anyone's day worse. They needed an emergency medical technician. Because, of course, Eric's self-dramatization wasn't enough.
When you were standing up and then you started... I don't know if he was making him do himself. Is that normal for him?
He gets like that when he's really upset. And he's not acting in an angry way. He does that, and sometimes like he'll fall on me, and like I can't pick him up.
Okay.
So panic attacks are normal for him?
He's been out in it all week.
So the plot thickens. The man had to add a medical emergency to his resume. Eric had a panic attack and needed medical attention. Because, of course, the drama king couldn't just let the evening be about anyone else but him. The cops couldn't be entirely sure if this was a genuine health crisis or just another one of Eric's attempts to manipulate Veronica by playing the victim. Classic Eric, always looking for a way to stay in the spotlight, even if it meant faking a heart attack. The fire department was summoned, presumably to douse Eric's flames of self-pity and assess whether his emergency was a genuine cry for help or just another act in his ongoing performance of "look at me, I'm the victim."
You go to the hospital, boys?
He's wanting to go.
Oh, he's wanting to go? What do you think?
We're trying to just take a blood pressure, that's about it. His oxygen's good right now, it's at 98%. Heart rate's fine, a little elevated at 98, but it's nothing crazy.
Do you take your medications for PTSD and the depression?
No what?
Do you take medications for it?
Yes.
Are you current on your medications? So we always recommend heading up to the hospital, especially because he has like PTSD, bipolar depression.
Everything seemed fine with Eric, physically at least. But they decided to take him to the hospital temporarily at his request. Because why not cater to his whims? Meanwhile, Veronica was curious about the rest of the process and had to decide whether to press charges against him.
Okay.
He told me that I'm starting to remember a little bit. It's like, I didn't think I'm gonna be that long in fucking jail. I get bonded up real fucking quick.
So I know you said you want a restraining order, so we'll work on getting that. Usually it's going to be an emergency restraining order.
Would I be able to press charges on him?
So in situations like this, it's up to the state to pursue charges. So usually we go through with, no matter if we have charges, we're going to go through with the charges whether you want to or not.
I should have pressed charges when I could.
Emergency restraining orders are the legal equivalent of a restraining order with extra cheese, especially in domestic violence cases involving children. Courts are often open around the clock for such filings because even the law understands that abuse doesn't keep office hours. In clear-cut cases like Veronica's, where Eric had achieved the trifecta of being a terrible boyfriend, abuser, and drama queen, these orders usually get approved the same day. This meant that Eric would be physically barred from coming near Veronica, her kids, or their home, unless he managed to navigate a legal labyrinth to get to them. But let's be real, this didn't matter much since Eric seemed to be on a fast track to jail anyway. It's almost like the universe had conspired to make sure he'd get exactly what was coming to him. While Veronica was left to decide whether to press charges, the wheels of justice were already grinding away to ensure Eric got a one-way ticket to the clink.
Is it going to be a 48 for him? He's going to be cleared already.
As long as he's clear, he should be fine then. It's going to bring me the ERO.
Hey, can I get a district court judge for the ERO?
Okay.
As the officer worked on filing out the restraining order and gathering more paperwork, Eric's day was far from over. He was carted off to the hospital, but in a plot twist befitting a low-budget soap opera, he was discharged almost immediately. It turns out that Eric's dramatic flair was matched only by his talent for getting out of sticky situations. But his fleeting hospital stay was merely a pit stop before the real action, his transfer to the police, where he was about to face the music. It was time for Eric to star in his latest role, criminal in custody. With the police ensuring he got his comeuppance, the once untouchable Eric was finally facing a consequence or two for his charmingly awful behavior.
Turn around for this officer. Turn around for him, bro. Oh, there you go. Oh, man, I got a piss, bro. Alright, bud. Well, before we take you in, alright, you're gonna be placed under arrest, okay? CID is the one that are gonna take you to charges. Unfortunately, I don't know them. But you are gonna be served a
emergency restraining order. I would suggest not contacting her, writing her, going to the house, none of that.
The case was submitted to the Criminal Investigation Division, or CID, the legal equivalent of calling in the big guns. When a case requires special resources and expertise, it gets assigned to the CID. This particular case, marked by chronic abuse and psychological manipulation, was like CID catnip. As soon as Eric was discharged, detectives pounced on him with the enthusiasm of fans at a rock concert. Eric, true to form, didn't make things easy. His interrogation was a spectacle of resistance and stubbornness, ending with him back in handcuffs. The detectives were determined to unravel the mess that Eric had created, ensuring he was held accountable for his actions. Eric's attempts to worm his way out of trouble were met with the kind of persistence usually reserved for solving complex mysteries. Because, let's face it, the only mystery here was how he managed to be such a monumental jerk. As soon as Eric was discharged, detectives questioned him right away. Eric, being the difficult person he is, didn't make it easy and ended up in handcuffs.
Detective Bardo with the Las Cruces Police Department. How you doing? What happened last night? Okay, so you're here for a reason, and I'm here with you for a reason, and that's to get your side of the story. If you're gonna tell me nothing, I'm gonna go ahead and leave and proceed my investigation. So right now, this is your chance to
What am I being charged with?
I'm not there yet, but I'm in an investigation. I'm investigating you.
I don't feel good, man.
Okay.
I want to go.
All right. I'm gonna take you back to the holding cell, okay? So the last thing that I need to do is get your side of the story. Since you're not gonna give that to me, I'm gonna go ahead and charge you with 3 counts of aggravated battery on a household member. 2 of them are strangulation. The other one's gonna be suffocation. Or 2 of them be suffocation. One's gonna be strangulation. Battery on a household member, and also deprivation of property to a household member. 3 of the 5 are gonna be felonies. Okay?
What? Why are they felonies? What did I do that?
3 felonies.
Why?
Do you want to talk to me about it?
But like, what did I do? What did you say?
I don't know. You were there.
I didn't.
You were there.
I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing, bro.
Okay.
I did nothing to
Then
her.
stay with that. Stay with that story.
I want to know what the
I'm not going to tell you anything because you don't want to tell me anything.
Eventually, Eric was arrested and charged with 2 counts of aggravated battery of a household member, 1 count of battery against a household member, and deprivation of property. With Eric safely handcuffed, the police could finally breathe a sigh of relief. They had done their part, and now it was time to ensure Veronica's peace of mind. As the legal system prepared to deal with Eric, the hope was that justice would be served. With the evidence stacked against him and his history of reprehensible behaviors, the odds of him escaping a lengthy prison sentence were about as slim as Eric's chances of winning any Best Human awards. As the legal process unfolded, Veronica and her children could finally start to reclaim their lives from the shadow of Eric's toxic influence.
Hello? May I speak to Veronica, please?
This is her. Yes?
Okay, just real quick, I wanted to let you know that I'm going to go ahead and charge Eric. He's going to have 3 felonies, which is going to be aggravated battery on a household member. 2 of them are strangulation. One's going to be strangulation. The other one is going to be battery on a household member, and the other one's deprivation of property of a household member. So another thing, I'm asking the officer to call a Sky report to CYFD because of what he exposed the children to. They'll probably just reach out to you, ask to see the conditions of the house, make sure that they're suitable for the children.
I know because of what happened, but then at the same time, I don't know how to say this. I accept what you're doing, but There won't be any way he can see his kid?
There will be, but it's got to be in different terms now. The way you guys had it, it obviously didn't work because look what he's exposing the children to.
As of July 2024, Eric is still awaiting sentencing and is being held without bond. Given his charges and history, it's estimated he'll likely spend up to 8 years behind bars. Finally, the children will receive the treatment and care they deserve for any trauma they experience. Veronica will finally be free. Eric Alvarado thought he could control and manipulate Veronica forever, but thanks to her quick thinking and the bravery of her son, his reign of terror is over. While this story is harrowing, it's a reminder of the strength and resilience of survivors. Veronica's story is one of courage and hope, showing that even in the darkest times, there is a way out. Let's hope Eric gets what's coming to him, and Veronica and her children can start to rebuild their lives, free from fear. So, what do you think of our wannabe Eric Alvarado? Let us hear your thoughts in the comment section below this video, and make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on these stories.